If I had told you at the beginning of this video that Bowser would somehow be fighting his own castle, would you have believed me? If I showed you a video of Bowser being crushed by his castle, would you think there'd be a good chance of him dying from that? And if Bowser had the ability to become giant from adrenaline, would you think it's bullshit invincibility? Then welcome to Bowser's Inside Story, where it's gonna knock your ass out for thinking that way. Yep, this is the first of this game's unique kaiju fights, where two giant things fight it out for our amusement. Thankfully, Bowser has managed to get back to his castle, where he found that Midbis and Fossil have retrofitted it for flight, because buildings in this universe don't have foundations or anything. And the usefulness of a flying house had been scientifically proven ever since the release of the movie Up. In order to stop Bowser's illegal break-in, Midbis decides to fly the castle right on top of Bowser, whereupon Mario and Luigi are called in to heighten Bowser's adrenaline in a kind of unfairly precise minigame of Space Invaders that takes forever. Once the ability is activated, Bowser grows to castle size and begins the punch-up of the century as everyone took Bowser's abilities for granted. Like the best scenes in the Naruto series, actually. These kaiju fights are so fantastically innovative that they even force the player to turn the DS sideways to play them on a side-by-side screen, giving players a more useful perspective to combat the enemy. And it works perfectly, and even though you can't see the distance between the enemy and the protagonist, the expert design always gives you a solid feel of that distance, which allows you to accurately counterattack things, like the flying enemies with fireballs, and whether you have the space for a punch or not, so you can flesh out your strategy. Plus, these things are simple enough and so similar to the original control scheme of your game that it doesn't feel janky and stupid. It feels impressively fun and just the right amount of challenging, so that this isn't also a pushover. Considering Bowser's castle has only been retrofitted with comedic propellers by Midbis, it isn't a powerhouse in terms of an opponent, so this is basically another tutorial boss with a lot more fire in the furnace. There's no grand strategy to this, and if you keep up your counterattacks, then it shouldn't be a feat to get this thing out of the way. There'll be cannonball-based attacks, hordes of sky minions to take out, and perhaps some other crazy gadget attached to the wall somewhere, but it's no match for a bit of Bowser brawling. Alpha Dream, you are doing some amazing things with the DS. Keep it the hell up.